Welcome to the Quotive Corner. Today's quote is one of those deceptively quiet observations that sits completely still until you actually apply it to your own life. And then it becomes uncomfortable in the most useful way. The secret of success is to do the common thing uncommonly well. That's John D. Rockefeller Jr. And I want to be precise about that because he's frequently confused with his father, John D. Rockefeller Sr., the founder of Standard Oil and one of the wealthiest individuals in American history. Rockefeller Jr. was his own substantial figure, an American financier and philanthropist who spent much of his life channeling the family's immense resources toward lasting public works. He funded the restoration of Colonial Williamsburg. He donated the land on which the United Nations headquarters now stands in New York City. He built Rockefeller Center. He supported conservation, the arts, and institutions of learning across decades. He was not his father, but he was not exactly living in obscurity either. Now, back to the quote. The word that carries all the weight here is common, not complicated, not requiring special talent, unusual opportunity, or access that most people don't have. Common. The everyday tasks, the routine responsibilities, the things that show up in virtually every person's life and work, regardless of their field or station. The emails that need to be answered, the meetings that need to be prepared for, the customers who need to be served, the projects that need to be followed through on, the commitments that were made and need to be honored. Most people treat those things as the overhead of their real work, the friction to be minimized, the baseline to be cleared before the important stuff begins. Rockefeller's observation inverts that entirely. The common thing, done uncommonly well, is not the obstacle to success. It is the mechanism of it. Think about what uncommonly well actually requires in practice. It requires something that sounds almost embarrassingly basic: genuine attention. The fully present, actually engaged, caring about the outcome kind of attention that most people extend to things they consider important and withhold from things they consider routine. The colleague who responds to every email with the same care they'd bring to a formal presentation. The craftsperson who treats the 1,000th version of a familiar task with the same precision they brought to the first. The server who treats the table that isn't going to tip well with the same quality of service as the one that is. None of these require rare talent. All of them require the decision, made repeatedly without applause, to not let the commonness of a thing become an excuse for doing it less well than it deserves. In a prior episode, I talked about Chuck Close, who built his career on this principle. His methodical, grid-by-grid approach to painting treated every cell of every canvas with the same careful attention regardless of how routine the process had become. He didn't wait to feel inspired before bringing full effort to the work. He showed up and brought the same quality to the common act of marking the next square as he had brought to every square before it. The extraordinary portraits were the sum of thousands of ordinary, uncommonly well-executed moments. In another episode, John Wooden gave us the distinction between character and reputation. That character is what you actually are, and reputation is what others think you are. The person who does the common thing uncommonly well is building character in exactly this sense. Not through the grand gesture or the visible achievement, but through the accumulation of decisions nobody is watching. The decision to proofread the internal memo that only 3 people will read. The decision to be fully present in the conversation that doesn't seem to matter much. The decision to do the small thing as well as you do the large thing. Because the standard you hold yourself to when nobody is evaluating you is the truest measure of who you actually are. There is also a compounding logic to this that Rockefeller understood from the inside. The person who does common things uncommonly well builds a reputation that precedes them, not through self-promotion, but through the simple fact that other people notice. The person who can be counted on to do the routine thing excellently becomes the person trusted with a non-routine thing. The reliability built through consistent excellence in ordinary tasks is what opens the doors to extraordinary ones. The compound interest of uncommonly well done common things is trust. And trust, accumulated over time, produces opportunity that no single impressive performance could. James Clear, in a past episode, gave us the insight that systems determine outcomes. That what you do on an ordinary day, by default, determines the trajectory of your life more than any exceptional day does. Rockefeller is making the same argument from the success side. The secret, and he used that word deliberately because it describes something hidden in plain sight, is not some exotic strategy available only to the exceptional. It's the consistent application of genuine effort and genuine attention to the things that show up every day. The secret is that there is no secret. The common thing, done uncommonly well, is the whole answer. Now, let's look at the honest counterpoint, because you know I don't skip it. Excellence in common things, sustained indefinitely, without any larger vision or direction, can become its own trap. The person who executes the routine with extraordinary precision, but never asks whether the routine itself is pointed at something worth doing, has confused excellence of execution with excellence of purpose. Recall in a prior episode that Eisenhower told us that plans are worthless, but planning is everything. That the investment in understanding the problem matters more than the flawless execution of a solution to the wrong problem. Doing the common thing uncommonly well is most valuable when the common thing is in service of something that genuinely matters. Excellence applied in the wrong direction is efficient misuse of a good thing. But within that limit, and for most people in most contexts, the limit doesn't apply because the common things genuinely do need to be done. Rockefeller's observation is one of the most practically actionable pieces of advice about success available. It doesn't require exceptional talent. It doesn't require rare opportunity. It requires the decision, made again and again, to bring full attention and genuine effort to whatever is in front of you right now. That decision, compounded across days and years, is what most people recognize as excellence, even if they can't always name where it came from. Thanks for spending a few minutes here at the Quotive Corner. If this one made you think of a common thing in your own life that you've been treating as less important than it deserves, that's worth some honest consideration. And remember, wisdom isn't in the quote, it's in the reflection. See you soon in the next episode.